Hello everybody, I'm AndiNaga, and today we're playing Mechwarrior Online. Today I'm going to be showing you the new MechLab, as well as some additional features that came out in the June 2nd patch. So without further ado, let's take a look at it. The first thing you'll notice is you jump straight into the MechLab. There is no mech selection screen anymore. So in this case, I'm in the standard view, the default view. If you want more of a Smurfy's layout, you can click to expanded, and then it'll show you everything that would appear on that. Once again, you have your mech stats down here, which you can open up and close, which will show you the different aspects of your mech in more detail and the specifics of it. You have all your upgrades down here, and it's pretty condensed. You notice that we now have color-coordinated items within the warehouse, as well as some of the symbols have changed a tad bit, some of the colors as well. And also this symbol right here, which is actually a switch symbol. If you want, you could click and drag an item over an existing item to replace it, adding some secondary functionality for ease of use. Down here you'll also notice that there's a checkbox for an XL engine and actual engine rating. You can downgrade your engine rating and click on and off whether you want an XL engine or not. I have to go lower because I'm maxed out on this. So yeah, you can turn an XL engine on and off. Of course, you'll have to own the engines to be able to do that, but you can do it directly from here instead of having to go into and drag and drop. Just like the Smurfy layout, all the armor ratings are up here, which you can easily change. In this review, though, I'm going to be focusing more on the regular layout, the column layout. So in the column layout, you have your mech like usual, which you can turn and twist and whatnot. You have your name, which you can change by clicking the little pen marker, as well as indications and warnings about your mech being too hot, too cold, or whatnot. Nothing can be too cold. Over here you once again have your engine ratings. A different option for this though is you can, in this case machine guns, drag and it'll actually show you on the screen by blinking where you can place them, and moving over will automatically expand that particular window. So you don't have to actually click on these windows, you just have to drag something over it. For all of your equipment, your ammo, you can click owned items or mounted items for the filter. Deselecting both will give you, of course, all of the ammo that you could possibly have. Selecting mounted will only show you mounted. In this case, I don't have any ammo weapons, so I wouldn't have any of those. Also, you can click owned if you only have a set number of ammo that it'll show you only that. Your equipment is separated in two categories. For Inner Sphere, you just have the miscellaneous category. There's a secondary category that has things like, I believe, AMS and ECM, which we'll cover in a minute. Miscellaneous for Inner Sphere, you have the case and double heatsink. For Clan, you just have the double heatsink at the moment. Something interesting what happened with the module selection is you now have a full module selection, which is everything is easily drag and drop. You have your consumables, which you can click. You can also click unlocked items, and unlike before where you had to pretty much filter through all of the items yourself, this will just show you the items that you have already. And of course you have the mounted button as well. For Inner Sphere, you have the actual engines tab. For Clan, you do not have an engines tab because you cannot switch engines, and this shows you all of your available engines as well if you want to drag and drop. Once again, you can just drag and drop with the switch and it'll place it. It'll show you by blinking where you can place it, and you can just drop it in. Now let's check some of the Clan mechs. Once again, the weapon groups, camo specs, most of that stuff has remained the same. The view is, slightly different. They have a new XP indicator. and when you select your mech, it'll bring you to this screen, which in this case it defaults to inner sphere, but you can always click on clan, you can click on trial mechs or owned mechs, and in this case it brings you to this where you can just click on the drop down tab and it'll show you all the particular mechs in a particular category, lights, mediums, heavies, what have you. So let's look at the ECM I was talking about earlier. Also, another thing, before I forget, is by selecting certain mechs, down here there's a module selection. Clicking on a mech with a module will automatically show you that it's equipped, so you no longer have to filter in and click on your mech and go through your mech to find out where the modules are. You can actually click on them and see, okay, this Stormcrow has a seismic, so I can now go into this, select it, go into it, and then remove the seismic if I wanted. Let's select this. Yes, I don't want to save changes. Okay, now we're going to check the loader of this kit box. Once again, you have a separate category for your AMS. Everything's color coordinated, and you can look down here to see the actual colors. Equipment, sensors, has the targeting computer, your any ECM if you have it, and actually, yeah, oh, I guess I'm a bit confused. Let's just drop this in here. Yeah, the ECM category apparently disappears when you equip the only ECM. So yeah, it'll be another category called ECM. For sensors, you have your clan active probe and targeting computers. For inner sphere, you'd probably just have your Beagle active probe. Again, miscellaneous, you have your jump jets and your double heat sinks and whatnot. Mousing over doesn't do anything, but if you click on it, it'll actually bring up a view where you can actually look and see what it'll benefit you with. Because they don't have engine swapping capabilities, but they do have omnipods, you can click on the omnipod section, open up a particular slide, and then say, well, I want this arm. And once again, it'll glow on the area where you can place it. Dropping it in will change up the mech a little bit. Once again, it'll show you all relevant things. It'll add in your missiles, particular color, drop an LRM-10 in. Unlike before with the missile selection where you actually had to look through all of your ammo for all different types before you found what you need. As you can see, I have ballistics weapons and missile weapons, and it's only showing the relevant ammo. If I click on mounted weapons, or I uncheck that box, it'll show me all the ammo, which is usually what we see when we had in the previous MechLab. Okay, let's, so yeah, I have machine guns and I have LRMs, and so it's a lot easier to drag and drop extra stuff in. Once again, the functionality for that exists. You can strip your mech now, and there's a new option to strip cockpit items, which could be pretty beneficial if you don't know where you put your cockpit items, to just take all of them off the mech when you're done using it as your primary. Another thing I wanted to show you guys is there is no option from the MechLab to actually buy mechs. Everything is done from the store now, so let's go into the store. Yes. Okay, and there's another cool part about this that I would also like to show you. In this case, you know, going to the store home, you're usually going to see this. You can click on your bundles, mech bays, booster packs, what have you. But, you know, clicking on mechs, it'll show you your particular category of, you know, what mechs you're going to be looking at. But for this instance, let's just say we want to look at a dire wolf. So, click here, let's look at the, there we go, dire wolf. Now, the cool part that they added to the MechLab is, or the store, is before you really couldn't, you know, through the store you really couldn't see the visual of the mech, but they had it in the MechLab where you could. Here you really can't turn your mech, but you know, you can't really turn the mech you're looking at to decide before you purchase, but what you can do is, let's just say, select this dire wolf A. You can't turn it, but you can see all the weapons it has on it, and you know, people might say, okay, well that's not much, but down here there's a button that says View in MechLab, and here's where it gets cool. You can click View in MechLab. You ever want to see how the weapons look on a mech without actually having to purchase it? You can do that now. So now I opened up this dire wolf. It warns me that this is an unpurchased variant, so no changes will be saved, but now, okay, I'm looking at this. Okay, let's look at the torso. You know what? How about I strip the entire mech? So now I can actually build my dream mech before I actually buy it. So okay, now it's stripped down. Let's see. I want to add a gauze rifle. So let's throw a gauze rifle on this arm over here. And you know, we have 3 energy. Let's throw in some, maybe a couple, you know, 2 or 3 large lasers. Force the weapons. We have more than enough tons. Let's throw in some streaks. And of course the AMS. So right away we can manipulate and change and see how exactly the weapons loadout will look on the mech before we buy it. And, you know, see everything that we'd see actually in-game after purchasing said mech. Of course, you know, pressing the restart button will undo everything I just did and will... Let's, yeah, we'll do everything I just did, and it seems to be glitching out now. Oh, what do you know? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so, but yeah, it'll reset everything in here. The image right here won't change. Perhaps that's a bug I have to remark upon, but... So that's how the new MechLab works. You can now, you know, like I said, everything that you buy is now directly from the store. The MechLab is actually pretty nice. Once again, you can also... Another cool thing is you can go to camo specs and actually mess with the camos, the different camos for whatever mech you're planning on buying. And, you know, see how it would look before purchasing it. So you have more options, more aesthetic options to see how exactly the mech would pan out. Just create your own personal mech. Even before you buy it, you can see how it would look. There's some issues with the MechLab that some people might not agree with. I mean, it's a work in progress, but I do believe it's much better than what we've had. It seems more intuitive. There's a lot less clicking, and you can pretty much drag and drop a lot of the items. You really don't have to mess around too much with where you want to stick things. You can, you know, just move it around, so there's not much added clicking, which I think is a benefit. But yeah, that was the new MechLab. Russ has stated that changes will be made in the future. They will tweak different aspects, work with different things. But as it sits, it's a working MechLab. I believe it's better than the previous MechLab, give or take a couple things. But yeah, that was the new MechLab. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Bye.